A not C.
Wow.
Oh, he's my buddy. No, he's my buddy. He read.
All right. Great opening joke.
Come on.
That's what's called a Dan.
All right. So in the last class, I'll try to slow down. If I'm talking too fast, just stop me and just tell me to slow down. Okay. So in the last class, we went over identifying milestones in the schedule, how to make something from a task to a milestone. We went over the outline structure and how to modify that, which would be like the headings, the summary headings and everything. We didn't do much with activity codes, I don't think. Is that right? There's someone. Okay. Okay, so we'll go through adding in activity. We'll go through adding in activity codes for this class. We did go through adding logic. Do you guys, and anything that you guys have questions on, we can recap. So do you have questions on anything so far between making something a milestone, your outline structure? Any questions on that? Maybe? Okay. Okay, so I'll just kind of run through the rest and we can just recap each thing. So we'll go through adding the activity codes, and then we'll go through identifying your critical path. We didn't get to that in any of the classes last time. So we'll go through those. And then if we have time, we'll go through more of the formatting and the layouts, which would be different ways to view your schedule, different ways to maneuver through it, and then creating filters for your schedule and creating different groupings. Any questions before we get started? All right. And does everybody have this file from the last class? Okay, perfect. So to make something a milestone, so I'm just going to add an activity here just for an example. I'm going to right click on the row number. Let me make my mouse bigger. Yes, that is correct.
Hey, I don't have to be here, my name.
Okay, so if you want to add an activity, you can click on the row number. So right click on the entire row number and say insert task. So I hovered over the row number. So say I want it, and it's going to go above the row that you click on. So say I want a milestone that's underneath permanent power. Say I want one that's between these two, and I want it to say conditioned air. So I can click on 13 and right click on the row number and say insert task, and that adds a task above the row that I have clicked on. So then I can title this one milestone conditioned air, and I can add this above the certificate of occupancy activity. So that's what some of the stuff we had gone over last time. So then to make this a milestone, because right now it's a task on the bar chart right here, you can see it's a task because there's not the notation for a milestone and there's no diamond there. It's just a really thin bar. So if I want to make this a milestone, I just change the duration to 0 days. So I just clicked on the cell here and I just am typing in a 0, hit enter, and now I've made this a milestone. Any questions on that? Okay. Another way that you can insert a milestone is I can click on the row, same thing, click on the row you want it to go above. And in this task ribbon, which may look a little bit different than mine, but the task ribbon, does everybody see these icons right here? So you, no. Here.
Make condition there a milestone.
I changed it from the 1 day to a 0 day duration.
No, mine's different.
We don't have condition. I don't have condition there.
We just added it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, you took it from somewhere. You took it from 13 and moved it.
I added it above. So I had, I'll redo that. So I clicked on 13, which is certificate of occupancy. And then one way to add an activity is to right click and say insert task, and it'll go above the row that you have clicked on. So that's one way that you can add an activity. Yeah, and then just rename it to the name that you want it to be. Another way that you can add an activity and make it a milestone right away is do the same thing and click on the row number that you want it to go above. And in this task ribbon, does everybody see the task ribbon? And then there's icons right here. So if you click plus milestone, that will insert a milestone right away. So the duration's already going to be 0 if you add it that way. So I'll do that one more time. So I'm going to click on row 13 because I want it to go above row 13. And then I'm going to click on plus milestone up here. And that'll add a milestone. So then you just change the name to what you want it to be called. And then you're good to go. Any questions on how we added activities last time? Okay. All right. So then how to add a summary task? We went over this last time a little bit too. So one way that you can add a summary task. So I'm going to add a task above this and call it building A, just for the example. So I'm going to do the same thing, and above 9, I'm going to right click and insert task. And I'm going to call this building A because I want this to be a heading of all of these milestones. So I added an activity and called it building A. So then to make this a summary heading, you just take the item under it and indent it underneath. So I'm going to click on row 10. And same in the task ribbon, there's the indent outdent keys right here. And click the indent to the right once. So I have the activity that I want it to go underneath. And doing this, moving this first activity underneath building A will turn building A into a summary. So I'm going to click on row 10 and I'm going to indent it to the right one. So now building A is a summary heading with building pad complete underneath. And then you can click on each of them individually and indent them each to the right one to make them underneath. You can also click on multiple at a time using your control key or your shift key. You can click on the 3. So I'm just going to click on permanent power, and with my control key held down, I'm going to click on the next 2. That highlights all 3, and then I can move it to the right and put them all underneath building A. I'm going to undo those steps and then show another way that you could do that. So instead of inserting a task, sorry.
How do you undo them so quick?
I'm just hitting the undo button.
One time?
No, I just click it until, yeah. Okay, another way that you can make them all under the same summary is similar to the milestone ad that we did. I'm going to highlight all of these underneath here. So I'm just going to click and drag to highlight all of them. And then above milestone, there's one for summary. So I'm going to click on summary. And now it makes them all summarized with a summary task above it. So I'll do that one more time. So I'm going to highlight all of these. And then click on summary right here. So just click and drag to highlight all of the project milestones. And then here, just click the button for summary.
Out building A, the whole thing.
When I did that, it added a new summary task.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. I did it 3 times.
That's okay. If you have extra, that's fine. So I'm going to click summary, and now I'm going to title this building A. So you can go in either direction that you like, whatever your preference, to add the building A. You can either highlight them all and group them all under a summary, or you can add a task and indent them underneath to make them a summary. Any questions on that?
Summary. Had them all, every one that I had highlighted. New. But it's adding new tasks.
So it'll group what you have highlighted in a summary. So you may be like putting a summary inside of a summary, possibly.
So you highlighted rows 10.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I did the same thing. I'm doing it again right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're highlighting not the row, you're highlighting.
I did it both ways. Let's do this over here. Just two. Yeah. Task. Summary. Boom, new summary task. Yep.
Does it look like this where it's underneath building A? Okay. So that's fine. So then you can click on the one that's called new summary task and you can just outdent it to the left. And then building A should have just become a task again.
So if you delete the summary text.
Delete building A.
Yeah.
Delete that row, delete everything underneath.
Yeah, it will do that. So if you wanted to delete it, you'd have to take these items and then outdent them to the left to make it just a task, and then you could delete it. And if you did delete it, just hit undo. You'll get it back. So just outdent everything that's underneath it. Mm-hmm. Right, everything, if you outdent everything underneath it, it'll put it back to an activity and you can get rid of it. So then you can delete it. So now it shouldn't be bold anymore.
Won't delete everything else in it.
Right, right.
Right.
Right-click. Delete task.
And you should have everything else still there.
We're gonna get rid of that.
If it's no longer a summary, you can delete it. If it's bold, don't delete it. But if it is not bold, you can delete it.
Well, the one that you added, you took it away.
Yeah.
Take it away.
You can, or you can leave it. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Any questions on the outline structure, indenting and outdenting? You can keep it. I just deleted it so that I could just show how to delete it. Yeah, but you can keep it. It doesn't matter. I can add it back. So I'm just going to do the same thing where I highlight all of these, and then I'm going to click summary, and then call this building A. So then if you want the color coding to carry over, so do you see how this building A is underneath the blue with the black text? So what we can do is we can scroll down in our schedule and find that same level. So it's this earthwork right here. That would be the color coding that we want for this level. And I know that because it's underneath the same blue with the black. Any questions on that? We want the color of the same level. So site would be the same color as the project milestones. Correct. Yes, exactly. So then I'll just collapse these so we can see them next to each other. If I can get my icons. Okay. So site is the same color as milestones, as the project milestones. So we want the same color as earthwork right here. So if you don't see both on one screen, then click on the row that has earthwork. Click on, it should be number 54. Click on the entire row so that the entire row is highlighted. Okay, and then scroll up. So you leave it clicked on down here, but then with your scroll thing, just scroll up so that you can see building A on your screen. The only thing with the format painter is you cannot scroll once you have it selected. So we want to scroll beforehand. So click on the whole row for earthwork right here. Leave it highlighted. scroll up to where you see building A on your screen, and then click on the paintbrush right up here. So I'm going to click on the paintbrush. You should have like this cancel sign. And then hover over building A and click on the row number for building A. And that should have carried over the formatting from earthwork to building A. So I'll do that one more time in case you missed it. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to click on the whole row for earthwork. And then I'm going to scroll back up to where building A is in my view. And then I'm going to click on the paintbrush for the format painter. And then I'm going to click on row 9 for building A. And that turned building A that same color. So that's how you can carry over your colors when you do add a new summary task. Ideally, this won't happen often because you'll have it already detailed out. But if you do add a new grouping while you're working through your schedule, all right. Did yours work? Okay. Who's worked? Okay, front row.
Do you click on the paintbrush before the building A?
Yes. Okay.
I would get it back. I went.
All right. Okay. So let's review how to add in logic to the schedule. So we don't have any logic in our site work. Do you guys see that? So in this, so scroll down to the site work. It should be line 53. Okay, so everything is a 1-day duration and everything is empty in your predecessor and in your successor columns. So let's go through the different ways that we can add logic for a review of that. And we'll also add in durations. So if this was the template and you're starting it out for your project, you're going to take these activities that are placeholders, you're going to revise the activities where you see fit. So if you think, oh, the blue top for paving, really you want to create a different list of activities for that work, that's okay. You can make those adjustments. So that's where you would add in activities and you would just modify it. Say you have, different lots, you could add summaries for different lots, but that would all be based on your specific project. So let's say that this list of activities is good. We're going to go with this list. So let's add in durations for each of these activities. So the rough grade, how many days do you want to give that for your project? This is all just hypothetical, so you can just pick a number. Anybody want to pick a duration for rough grade? 10 days. And you just type in a 10 in the duration and hit enter. And then you should see that this duration is now 10 days long on the bar chart, and it's thicker. So let's do the same thing for building pad. Let's give building pad 3 days. Okay, and blue top for paving, how many days do you want to give that? 2 days. So all I'm doing is just clicking on the duration cell, and I'm just typing in the number and hitting enter. So then storm, sanitary, and water utilities. Do you want to go through the exercise of breaking this out into 3 activities, or do you want to just add a duration? Okay. Okay, so with this, there's a couple different ways that we can break it out. You can either insert a task and just type them in, or you can click on the whole row for 59. So click on the entire row for 59, and then right click and say copy. And then right click again and say paste. You should now have 2 identical activities. Okay, so I'm going to do that one more time. So I'm going to right click on 59 and say copy. And then I'm going to right click again and say paste. So now I have 3 activities for storm, sanitary, and water utilities. Did anybody not get the copy and paste? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to click on row 59 for storm, sanitary, and water. So click on row 59. Okay. And then right click on the row. Okay, that's fine. If your number's different, that's okay. But click on the storm, sanitary, and water activity. And then right click and say copy. And then right click again and say paste. Okay, so then right click for a third time and say paste again. That's okay. It's just telling you that you can do it like using a shortcut key. So you could just say okay. If you do the same action multiple times, sometimes that'll pop up. Okay, so everybody has 3 activities for storm, sanitary, and water. So you have 4, okay. If you want to delete one of them, you can just click on the row number and then right click and say delete task. Then you'll have 3. So now I'm just going to rename these to each of the individual names. Mhm. Does yours have a push pin right here? Change them to auto schedule. And then at the bottom here, does it say new task auto scheduled? Okay.
Each one of those.
Yes. It should already be that way. I don't know why yours isn't. Yours says auto schedule down here. Does it say manual?
Says new tasks.
Okay. Okay. You can click here to click on your entire schedule to highlight it. So you can click on this like empty square up here. And then click on auto schedule in the task ribbon. And that will change anything that's not changed. So you're welcome. Okay, so does everybody have storm, sanitary, and water? Okay, so now we'll plug in durations for each of these. So how many days for storm? Okay, we'll say 10 days, sanitary. Let's just give them all 2 weeks. So I'm going to type in 10 days for each of these. And then the dry and MEP utilities, I'm going to say 20 days. Okay. Dry and MEP utilities. Okay. I noticed that the city pre-con is a 1-day question mark. So that means that this duration has never been plugged in. So I'm going to change this from a 1-day question mark to just 1 day. So your city pre-con line, which should be the first line under construction, change that one to 1 day. And let's make the mobilization below it 5 days. It's right underneath construction.
Should be line 52.
Just plugging in durations for it. So 1 day for city pre-con, 5 days for mobilize. Okay.
How do I get rid of a color line? I've got a blank one that's just blue. That I don't need.
Because of course, how come when I type something in, it don't match the font of the other activity?
Mine's having that too. It's because I don't have the Futura font on my computer. So what you can do is you can highlight everything in your schedule.
Go for that corner again?
Yeah, you can do it in the corner too.
Okay.
And then say under the format tab, which is the last tab,
Format.
go to text styles and change it to Arial. No, that happened to, I think, try like exiting and clicking on it again. That happened to people last time too.
The action cannot be continued.
So just try it again and click on text styles again.
I'll just here without the text.
Okay. Okay. Do you see this pop up?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so click on Arial. You can start typing in the word Arial too. Just Arial, just plain. Okay, and then click on Arial and then click OK. So then all new activities are going to be Arial. So also while you have this highlighted, so while you still have your whole schedule highlighted, go to the task ribbon and then change it to Arial there as well. So that should change all of your existing activities in the schedule. Got it? Okay. So then everything should be the same font now. It should all be Arial. I had that problem too with the font not being on my computer. Okay. So let's continue down. Let's go through paving and through landscaping and add in durations to each of those sections. So how many days for FRP fire lane? Anyone can just pick. Ready. All right, 5 days. What about FRP paving? 10 days. Let's do truck, dock, and ramp. Let's do 3. And then FRP sidewalks. So all we're doing in this step is we're just changing the template to be our project. Right now it's just like a theoretical fake project, but we're taking the template and we're modifying it so that it is our project. Does that make sense? Okay. So then irrigation, how many days do you want to say for this project we have for irrigation? Okay, 5 days. And then what about landscaping? 10 days. Okay. Okay. So now your whole site work section should have durations plugged into it. So none of them are 1 anymore. Now they're all the durations that we've set into the schedule. So next, we're going to add in the logic to these activities. So let's go from the Ridgemont Mobilize, or let's do City Precon to Ridgemont Mobilize. So I'm going to click on the City Precon and then hold my control key down and click on Ridgemont Mobilize. So click on City Precon, hold your control key down, click on Ridgemont Mobilize, and then select this link tool right here. So it's the 2 chains that overlap. Click on that, and you should see that your activity is tied together. I'm going to zoom in down here. If you want to zoom in and out, it's like zooming into a Word document. So I'm going to click the plus sign, and that will just make it a little bit easier to see my activities.
I don't have that over there.
Is this moved all the way over here? So just click on get this icon here, and you can click and drag it over. Okay. Yours isn't? Okay. Here, I'll come over here. I'm going to take that out of these. I'm taking this up, I mean. Oh, yeah, you're just, yeah. There. Everybody else.
Next to the app bits.
I've never heard of some of this stuff. I've never heard of some of the stuff in there. Yep. I got a double bubble. Yes. So that I can lose the flavor in 2 seconds. What? Really? I wish you could still do that. Now it's probably what, 10 times 25?
You trying to get it to that letter?
Adding in the logic, right?
That's how you do it. Yeah. So you can see it now, right? Now, right. It's there.
The city, the pre-con to mobilize. Is everybody on this screen, or what are people stuck on to get it to look like this? Is anybody not? Does anybody? It's okay if you don't look like this. That everybody good? Okay, so now I'm going to redo tying these together. So we're going to start from that step again. So I'm going to click on City Precon. You can click on the name, or you can click all the way to the left. Either one will work. And then hold your control key down and click on Ridgemont Mobilize. And then click the link tool right here. If yours is already tied together, you don't need to. If it's already tied together, it won't do anything when you click it again. So let's do the same thing. Let's go from Ridgemont Mobilize and use your control key. Click on Rough Grade and click the link tool. So click on Mobilize and then click on Rough Grade, link, and you'll link those 2 together.
Okay, mine came up flaming. Mine, you chose the pass command.
You can just click OK. Those are just like, okay. So now another way that you can tie activities in, if you don't want to use your control key and use the link tool, you can also use the predecessor and successor columns by typing the row number in. So let's have building pad follow rough grade. So I'm going to click on the predecessor cell for building pad. And then I'm going to type in 55 because that's the row number for rough grade. So I want 55 to be a predecessor to 56. Your numbers might vary, but I want the number for rough grade to be the predecessor for building pad. So I'm going to type in this empty cell here. I'm just going to type 55. Your numbers might be different than mine, but whatever the rough grade number is, just type that into the building pad predecessor cell. Because we want rough grade to be a predecessor to building pad. So type in the row number for rough grade into the predecessor cell of building pad. Does that make sense? I'm going to type in 55 and hit enter. And now you can see on the Gantt chart that that's now following rough grade.
Take 57 all the way.
Okay, then you may have it right. If your building pad is following rough grade.
Telling me like they're already.
Okay.
linked together.
Okay. If they're already linked together, then you're good to go there. Yeah. So then let's go from building pad to the blue top for paving. So the two different ways that we've gone over so far is by clicking one, holding your control key and clicking on the second, and then using the link tool. That's one way that you can link them together. I'm going to hit undo and do the other way now. So the other way that we've gone over is by typing the row number into the predecessor cell. So we want building pad now to be a predecessor to the blue top for paving. So I'm going to type 56 into the predecessor cell for blue top for paving. And that will give us the same result.
Telling me these.
Do you have any text in the blue? Like
Well,
in these
not-
summary
not
rows?
in blue, they're highlighted.
See how you've got in the, that's where you
Mhm.
got. I don't have any.
You may have this covering it. Okay, so you can get rid of resource name. So click on the top of the column and right click and you can say hide. Right.
Well, you're getting rid of the resources, right?
Yeah, we're not going to use that. That's like a default column that comes up.
So what do I push? Here, yeah. Yeah, that's when we did all the predecessors, sensor, subcontractor, resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AK more than once for me.
That's okay. That's why we're going over this stuff again, so it's fine.
Yeah, you may still have an added task that she might not have.
So
Push them numbers out.
yeah. So the last way that you can add in logic that we went over last time, does everybody have their activity details shown at the bottom?
Yes.
If you do not have activity details shown at the bottom, then in your task ribbon, click on this details button right here. Yours might look different. It might not say the word details next to it. And then you should have this window pop up here. Okay. Does everybody say predecessor name, successor name, or does anybody have resource predecessor? Down here. Okay, so if you don't have predecessor, successor down here, hover your mouse over it and right click. And then you should see the option to choose predecessor and successor. For whatever reason, the resource predecessor is the default, which I don't know why.
Will that change it on the schedule up here too?
It will not. No, it'll only change it down here.
How do I change that up there? Still got read at the very top of your. Reset your head.
Up here.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, right click and say hide.
Well, you want the successor, so. Yeah, I want the, because I didn't want to hide the whole.
Yeah, you want to hide the resource name column. So click on the top of resource name.
Now says admin.
Yeah, just say hide. Or a resource name is gone now?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you're fine.
This is add a new column.
Then click add new column. And then start typing in the word successor. Or you can scroll down and look for it. Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so does everybody have this window up here? Okay, so now we're gonna use the method of using this details window to tie in your logic. So similar to how we typed in the row number here, we're gonna do the same thing. So let's have the storm follow the rough grade. So click on the activity for storm. And then here in the predecessor name section of your schedule down here, does everybody see that? Click on ID. Click on the first row for ID. And then type in your row number for rough grade minus 55. So I'm going to type in 55. Okay. And then hit enter. And then you can either click the OK button, or you can just click away and click somewhere else in your table, and that will apply the change. So let's do the same thing to sanitary.
They put my storm way out behind sanitary.
Okay. Did you tie it to the rough grade? Is it, if you click on storm, does it say rough grade right here?
Yeah.
Okay, then you're good. You're good.
It looks right there.
What does it say?
Nothing. Fine.
When you have storm clicked on?
Yep. Storm clicked on, it says storm up on day. Predecessor name has nothing.
Okay. So then here, type the ID number in for rough grade, the row number. And then say okay.
Problem with that. Can't do it twice.
Do you have rough grade? Is there anything in your successor?
You hit, okay, your rough grade is staying, mine disappeared.
Did you click on storm again?
No, I wouldn't click on 62 sanitary because that's the next one.
Okay, so then it should be empty because you haven't put that in yet. So then click on sanitary and then do the same thing. Type in the ID number for rough grade. Hit enter.
Okay.
Both. Yeah, so hit enter so that 55 is populated here. And then click OK. And you should see that sanitary now has a predecessor, and it now has the predecessor of rough grade. Okay, so let's do the same thing for water. So click on water, type in your ID for rough grade, and click OK. So now you should see that all three of these are following rough grade. Okay. So then let's say that your dry utilities are going to follow storm, sanitary, and water. So click on the empty column for successor on storm. So this empty column here next to storm, we're going to type in the row number for dry and MEP utilities. Mine is 62, so I'm going to type in a 62. But whatever row number your dry and MEP utilities is, type that in for the successor of storm. Yeah.
It goes down once it did. So I put 60.
Yes, so you can hit 62, and then when I hit enter, it's going to tie it to sanitary. I can actually click on this cell for 62, and I can get this skinny plus sign on the corner. So this is like Excel when you drag down a cell. So with the 62 here, I can get the skinny plus sign and actually just drag it down to the sanitary and the water. That's fine. So it should say 62 for all three of them, or whatever your number is for all three.
My 64 didn't come down.
Okay, so click on the first cell, and then you'll have to get this icon here. That's the skinny plus sign. And then when you have that icon, click and drag to the next two cells down. So I'm going to click on 62. I'm going to get the skinny plus sign. And then I'm going to click and drag to those two cells.
It's easier to just go on the cell and put the number in.
Yeah, you can just type it in too. You can just type in 62 and 62.
God bless.
I think it's easier just to.
I'm blind. I can't see things. I can't see. Glasses are in my personal picture.
Okay. So does everybody see how now? So now click on your storm. You should see rough grade on the left and dry and MEP utilities on the right. Yes, click on your activity for storm.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So this is how you can see your logic and how you can kind of trace it in your schedule. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So then in the task ribbon up here, there's a button called inspect. You may not have the word inspect. It may just be the caution sign with a question mark over a bar. So click on inspect. Does everybody see this?
Oh, I see it, yeah.
Okay.
Click on it.
Yeah, click on it.
Drop down the task. Like task.
Yeah, you.
The warning shows.
Go to the task.
So click on inspect task. Okay. So does everybody have, okay, does everybody have the inspector? Okay. So now if you click on storm, you can actually see here that the predecessor for it is rough grade. Does everybody see that in the inspector?
Oh. Yeah.
So it'll show the predecessor that's pushing that activity out. So I'm going to click, so you can actually click on the rough grade in the inspector and it'll take you to that activity and it'll let you trace back in your schedule. So I'm going to click on the storm again. And you should see that rough grade is coming up in your inspector as the predecessor that's pushing that out. Yep, so you can click on rough grade and then it should take you to the rough grade activity. And then it should say the Ridgemont mobilized for the predecessor there. you should also see the option for go back to 59 storm. Okay, so click on storm, and in your inspector, do you see rough grade? Okay, click on it. In the inspector. So now you should see that it's now jumped to rough grade on your schedule. So now it says, okay, and rough grade is in the inspector, and it should say Ridgemont Mobilize because that's the predecessor that's driving rough grade. And then it should say go back to 59 storm. Okay, that's okay. So this is how you can trace back your logic. So if you click on dry and MEP utilities, you should actually see that there's 3 predecessors actively driving this activity. And then you can click on whichever one that you want, and it'll trace back to that activity. So that's just like a handy tool for if you're working through your schedule and you don't know what's pushing something out, you can click on the inspector and it'll tell you what's pushing it out. And it'll let you jump to that part of your schedule. Any questions on the inspector?
X right there at the
Yeah,
top.
just click the X and it'll go away. It's just,
Next to that inspector.
yeah, it's just at the top. Okay, any questions on anything that we've done so far today? Okay, so let's continue with our site and let's continue with tying everything together from one section to the next. So the FRP fire lane, what do you want this to follow? What should be the predecessor of FRP fire lane? Yeah. You want it to follow the blue top? Okay, so I'm going to click on the activity for blue top and then holding my control key or whichever method you like is fine. But I'm going to use my control key and click on FRP fire lane and hit the link tool. So click on blue top for paving, hold the control key and click on FRP fire lane. And then link. So now FRP fire lane is following blue top for paving. FRP fire lane. And then use your link, click on the link button in the task ribbon. Okay.
The whole time holding the control key.
You can let go of the control key once you've clicked on the second activity. You can, yeah. If you prefer that, then yeah. Whatever method you prefer is the one, yeah. Whichever method you prefer is the one that you use. I mean, because some people will have different preferences in different scenarios. Like if you're going somewhere in your schedule that, you know, you have to scroll up and then scroll down and look at something far away, it's easier to just type the number in. Some people will think it's easier to just click on the two next to each other and then hit the link tool. So it's your own preference. So you don't have to use the same way that I'm showing. Now that we've seen the different ways, use whichever way you like. So let's have the paving activities. Let's just tie them all to be finished to start with each other. So that you go FRP fire lane, FRP paving, truck, dock, and ramp, and then sidewalks. You can also click on your control key and you can do multiple at a time. So I'm going to click on all 4 of them in a row, clicking my control key, and it's going to tie them in the order that you click them in. So you don't have to do this. You can type in the numbers if you like the numbers better. But I'm going to click on fire lane, and then paving, and then truck, dock, and ramp, and then sidewalks. I am, yeah. Yeah. So click on fire lane, hold your control key, click on paving, keep holding it down, click on truck, dock, and ramp, and keep holding it down and click on sidewalks. Yeah, then you can let it go and then you can click link. And it'll link them in the order that you click them in.
Mine's,
Second, I've only picked one.
We'll do that again. So I'm going to click on fire lane, and then holding my control key, I'm going to click on paving, then on truck, dock, and ramp, and then on sidewalks. You should see the first, still holding my control key. You should see the first 3 are gray, and then the last one is white with the green box around it.
Mine's not doing it. Click on fire line,
Okay.
press down on
Yeah, hold your control key down on your keyboard, and then click on the next one with your cursor. Then click on the next one, and then the last one.
it. He doesn't have it.
And then when you click link, they should all link together.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. I don't know why.
my activities are all asked backwards. Yours fire lane, mine is paving first, then truck, dock, ramp, then FRP sidewalk, FRP fire lane.
Okay, so click on, so yours is like this.
Fire lane,
Okay, so then click on the row number for fire lane. And then when you get the 4 arrows, so hover over the row number until you have the 4 arrows.
so,
Click and drag it up to where you want it to go. Yeah. That's how you can move it, yeah. So click on, when you have the 4 arrows that are like widespread like that, you can click and drag it, and you can see, it's really small, but you can see that gray line that's moving with the activity. So it's gonna go above wherever I let go. So if I let go here, it's gonna go above water. I'm gonna move it back, so I'm gonna click on 61 again, and I'm just gonna hold and click and drag, and now I'm gonna put it back underneath truck, dock, and ramp. So wherever that gray line is where it's gonna go.
fire lane,
You can also, if you wanted to, this will only, it'll tie everything finish to start top down. It doesn't matter the order that you click them. It's just going to go top down, but you can also use your shift key. So I'm going to click on fire lane, hold my shift key down, and then click on sidewalks. That highlights everything in between. And then when I click link, it'll do the same thing. So I don't have to click on them. So the control key is going to tie them in the order that you click them in. The shift key will tie them all together top down. You still have to hit the link button, yeah. Okay, so then let's have your irrigation go after, let's have it just go after everything so far. So let's have it go after the dry and MEP utilities and also after the sidewalks. So if you like to type it into the successor window, I'm gonna say, okay, irrigation, it's my line number 69. So in the empty successor cell for the dry and MEP utilities, I'm going to just type in 69 for irrigation to follow that. I'm going to do the same thing in FRP sidewalks. I'm going to type in a 69 so that my irrigation is just following everything in my utilities. So whatever your row number is, just type that in.
You did the same thing with sidewalks?
Yes, just so that the landscaping's following everything. If you prefer to tie them in a different sequence, that's fine. Okay, so that probably just means it's critical. It's probably critical path now.
Yeah.
I don't have my critical on. In the critical tasks, if you want that to turn on, you can click on in the format ribbon at the end. So your last ribbon at the top, click on format, and then you should see the check mark for critical tasks. Mine isn't critical. My critical is going through the building, but you should see something on your schedule turned red. So click on the format ribbon and then click on critical tasks.
No,
That's fine. You should have a critical path somewhere.
doesn't feel right.
It's probably not right, but no, that's okay. It's just, yeah, that's fine. So then I'm going to tie in irrigation to landscaping. So whichever method you like to tie things in, use your favorite way, but I'm going to have irrigation be a predecessor to landscaping. So now your site work should look something like this. It doesn't have to be exact, but it should look something like this, where a little bit of the work is overlapping, but you have a general flow from start to finish.
Landscaping irrigation,
Mhm.
so what? Time. But at landscaping, I put the number of irrigation on the successor.
So if you want irrigation to be before landscaping, you put the number for irrigation on the landscaping predecessor. Does that make sense? So, and then once you type that in, you should see the successor of irrigation populate as well. So you can do it either way. It will fill in the other cell for you. If you have any numbers that are in the bold summary headings, delete them. That's what's going to mess it up. That's what's going to let you not tie things in together, because it's saying that it's already tied into the chain or that you can't tie a task to itself. So if you have a summary task, it's basically overriding the logic of everything underneath it. So just delete it and put it on an activity instead. And to delete it, you could just click on the cell and then hit your delete key.
My landscaping. Yes,
Mhm.
got it in there.
So change that. So click on the drop down where the pin is and change it to auto. If you type a duration into a summary, it'll make it a push pin. Yeah. Okay. Any questions on this? Anything on how we just tied together the site work? Like have multiple successors on. Sure. So we have, yeah, so all three of those right now on mine, I have all three of them going at the same time. So then if you look at your rough grade activity, so here, this rough grade, you should see multiple successors on it. And then same with the dry and MEP utilities, you should see 3 predecessors.
On schedule to be 17.
Yeah, line 63 site work,
Yeah,
see where the dates and.
how it's blue.
Yeah, how come they took the blue off of them? Same thing on landscaping.
So when you make a change, it's actually like a very light blue. You just can't, yeah, you can't see it on the screen really, but it's actually like a very light blue, which just means a change was made to those dates. So
Go back blue like all the rest of them.
as soon as you make another change, or if you save it, and then sometimes it doesn't work if you save it, but until you make another change or save it, they'll go away. So basically like, right. So yeah, so if I was to take rough grade and say I made rough grade 15 days instead of 10, it's going to highlight in blue all the dates that change from that. So I'm going to say, okay, instead of 10 days for rough grade, it's actually going to be 15. Everything that just shaded the light blue is everything that changed from that modification that I made. So that's how you can see when you're working through your schedule, what's pushing out from that change you made. I'm going to put that back to 10 so that our schedules look the same again. Or similar. Yes, they don't have to be the same. All right, any questions so far on this? Okay, who has a critical path that's going through site work versus the building? So whose site work is blue versus red? Like my building is red. Okay. Is anyone have the site work red? Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, I have rough grade.
Okay. Okay, so click on the rough grade or let's have the building pad come before layout and grade pad. So let's tie the building pad into the start of the building. So we'll say when the building pad is done, so building pad in the earthwork right underneath the rough grade. When building pad is done, that lets you start layout and grade pad. So I'm going to click on building pad up here. And I'm going to hold my control key down or tie it whichever way you prefer. And then scroll down to layout and grade pad in your building. Okay. Okay. That's fine. So you can tie it, I mean, whichever way you want. Mine is this way, but it doesn't matter. Whichever way yours is, all we're doing is we're tying in your earthwork to starting your building. So I'm going to click on building pad, and then I'm going to click on layout and grade pad and link those together. You have to let go of the control key to scroll. So scroll and then hold your control key again before you click. What did you say? Oh, okay. Okay, that's fine. Whichever is the first activity in your structure, it doesn't matter. Yeah, all we're doing is we're just saying that your building is going to start after your rough grading, essentially. Whatever yours looks like is fine. But basically what we want is we want the rough grade to be red and we want mobilized to be red. So since the critical path was starting with the building, but nothing was tied to the start of the building, that's all we're doing is we're just tying it into the rest of the schedule. Okay. So basically all we're doing is we're just tying in the relationships. We already tied in the site work. We already tied in some of the building. Now we're just tying the relationships between the different parts of the schedule. Okay, so does everybody have a critical path where it's red going through mobilize and rough grade? No? Okay, so do you have your rough grade tied to starting your building? If you don't, for your first activity in the building, add the predecessor of rough grade. So whether you want to do that from doing the control key and link, or if you want to just type in the rough grade ID into the predecessor cell, whichever way you like, tie in the first activity in the building to follow the rough grade or building pad, whichever one you prefer. So you just go building, you don't have structure. What is your first item under the building? Is your structure somewhere else? Okay, if it's the steel, that's fine. Just have the first, whatever's first in your building, just have it follow the rough grade. Mm-hmm. it really skinny? Hmm. Yeah, it looks like you either have it like way zoomed out or, oh, it's because yours is really zoomed out. So click on the minus sign at the bottom. So yours is just zoomed in a lot. Okay, so not that much. Make it where you can see like a month. Pretty. Okay, so now scroll over on your Gantt chart. So do you see that? Yeah.
See if it's small there too.
So those are just because you don't have the durations plugged in for that.
See, mine doesn't look like yours. I don't have to.
Okay. Okay, so that's just because you don't have some of the stuff from last, you might have just not saved your file after the last class. Yeah, possibly, because I think that we tied those in last time. But that's okay. I mean, you can just like tie everything, finish the start, and you'll get a critical path. Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, you're welcome. You have something that's red though, right? Do you have in the format, did you select critical tasks? Did you select the check mark for critical? Okay. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. It's like the names of the buttons are weird than what you think they would be. Yeah. Okay. All right, any questions on where we're at so far? Does everybody have something that's red on your schedule? Does anybody not have something red? Okay, do you have on Gantt chart format, did you select critical? Try clicking on something in your table and then clicking again. Okay, does anybody not have anything red? It's okay if you don't. But does anybody not have anything red? You don't have red? Do you have your critical tasks checked? Okay. Okay, so on format, the last ribbon, it's up here, and then click on critical tasks. It's right underneath the word format. Yeah, click on that. Okay. Perfect. Does anybody not have red? Okay, it's just really skinny. So click on the bottom. Do you see where there's a plus sign? Click on the plus sign. Just click on it a couple times. Oh, it's like frozen. Okay. So just click somewhere in your table. Just like click on a different activity. And then now try hitting the plus sign. Click on it until you get to like there. That's too much. Click the minus like 3 times. And then scroll over until you find activities. So scroll to the left. I think you're in 2025. Yeah. So just click the left arrow. Just click and hold it until you see some activities. I think you're like a year back.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So just click and hold it until. Not doing that. Click the minus arrow one more time at the bottom. Click it again. Okay, so you're in 2049. Click on it again. Okay, yeah.
I think I'm on me.
There you go. There you go. Okay, you have critical stuff, so you're good. Critical. Do you have critical on yours?
I do not.
Okay, so click on format. And then click on critical tasks right below the word format. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Anybody, are you good on, you have red stuff? And then do you have red stuff? So click on, yeah, you're right, you don't. Okay. Click on, do you see on the far left of what you're looking at, it has a picture of a Gantt chart?
Mhm.
Click on that. Okay. Now scroll back down to where you were in your schedule, or hit the undo button. It's to the left of save at the very top.
Here?
Yeah. Okay. So double click on where it says task. Okay. And then scroll down to the activity that you want, that you were on before. Or wherever, yeah, that works. And then now you see your Gantt chart. So scroll to the right on your Gantt chart. It's on the right-hand side, and you have like scroll to the left and to the right. Yeah, like right there. So click the arrow to the right. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Okay, and hit your actually hit your redo button a few times until, so the redo button, the other side, click on it until it doesn't let you anymore. Okay, so you're good. Okay. So now you have your Gantt chart. So click on the format ribbon at the top. What? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, click on the format ribbon. It's task, resource, report. And then the very last one says format. No, like the last ribbon at the top. You see, it's like right here. Yeah, so click on format. And then, oh, you have your critical tasks selected, so you're good. So if you scroll down in your schedule, you should have something that's red. Maybe in your building.
Yeah, there's just one task. I think there's task here.
Mm-hmm.
I think the issues, there's no logic in here yet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I can email you my file, and then if anyone wants to continue with my file, we can do that. So I'm going to go through some of like the filters and stuff. Okay, so I just replied to the meeting invite with this file. So if you'd rather use this file that I'm looking at to continue, you can open the one from my email and use that. You can use yours too. It's totally up to you. All right. As long as you have a critical path that goes through something, you're good, because the next steps we're going to go through are going to like filter for that. So as long as you have something to come up in the filter, then you're good. Any other questions while we wait for that email, or anyone that's going to use that? All right. All right. Okay.
I'll do it because kids will learn.
Yeah.
You do all of this.
Yeah, I do. Makes
Well,
it.
I won't be. I won't. Just-
I'm fine with that. Okay. When you guys are ready for the next step, just let me know. All right, you guys good? Okay. So now we'll go through, so just some like little things that you can do on your schedule. So go to the view ribbon. The view ribbon at the top. And where it says outline towards the center, you should see the word outline. Click on level 1. Okay, it's like a box with a plus, a box with a minus. Yeah, click on outline and then click on level 1. So yeah, you should see only the title of your project. So click on outline. So we're in the view ribbon.
I'm with the dash green.
It's the view.
Ridgemont project template.
Yep. It's okay.
I don't come up on Look, I did mine. What's yours? Outline. Level 1. I did, but it just clicked up.
Okay. If you double click, it'll like, yeah, it'll like collapse itself if you double click on it sometimes. But click on the view ribbon and then click on outline and then level 1. Okay, that's fine. Mine says if it has a question mark, it means that you don't have something tied in yet, or you don't have a duration input yet, which is fine. Because we haven't gone through like everything that's in the schedule. So if you have a question mark, it's okay. What if you scroll all the way up to the top?
Yeah, try boosting.
And you don't have a 1? Okay. Click on outline and then now click on level 2. Yeah. Okay, so outline and then level 2. So level 1 is saying we're collapsing to just level 1, which on mine is just the title of the project. And then outline level 2. Yeah, so now we're collapsing to just the second level. So basically just like our primary headings.
Hang on, my
Okay. Wait.
boss man can't even get it done.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you just click on 1, it just jumps to
What if you click in the table instead of having everything highlighted? And then what if you try it then? I don't know why I would do that. It's like it's frozen or something. Does it let you scroll up to the top? Maybe you should open the file that I emailed. Or that, yeah. I don't know. There, okay. Okay, so does everybody have it where it can collapse to the different levels? Okay, so then now go to outline and then go to level 3. Outline level 3. So really this is where you can check your work and make sure that everything's in the right spot. And you can just go through and you can make sure that your groupings are the way you want it to be. So like under construction, we have site and building. Those are our 2 main headings. So what we could do is we could add one for setup or something, or mobilize for these first 2 activities if we wanted to. But you'll see the different headings. So under milestones, we have contract milestones, project milestones. And so this is just a way to double check your outline levels and make sure that everything looks like it's in the right spot. It's also an easy way where, say, oh, you don't want to see everything, so I'm going to collapse to level 2, and then I just want to expand construction. You can make changes, yeah. It just keeps things collapsed. So you can say, I only want to open up the building. And then that's just an easy way to get everything to minimize. Any questions on that or any issues with collapsing? So I'm going to go outline level 2. And then I just expanded individual sections. So I just expanded construction by clicking on the arrow. And then now I see my constructions expanded. And then I expanded building.
All mine shows two items, Shady Creek on.
No, there's a little
It's
little
that
half
same
diamond right
diamond,
there.
Oh,
where it's
yeah,
clicked.
icon,
Mhm.
little bitty,
Yeah, arrow thing.
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
So that's just a way where if you don't want everything to show on your screen, you can just easily collapse certain things. Does that make sense?
Well, I ain't fully low like that. Got two lines.
Do you have site and building? So does yours look like this? Yeah, so you have to open up building. And you'd have to open up site as well. Mhm.
What level is it if we're just?
You would do outline all. Yeah.
Outline,
Right.
Mhm. You could also say, so let's say that I'm going to collapse all again. So I'm going to say to level 1. And then I'm going to say, no, let's look at level 2. So what you could do is you could click on construction and say that you want construction to expand. You can actually click on the row for construction and you can go outline, show subtasks. And it'll open up the one that you have clicked on if you have troubles clicking on the little arrow.
Still just went blank. Why is that Ridgemont project?
Scroll up.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably at the top. So if you have troubles clicking on this little arrow thing on the side,
Somewhere.
well, you could do that, or you could click on construction, because sometimes it will just freeze up, so it helps to click on another cell. But if you don't want to click on the little arrow, but you want to expand construction, click on the word construction, and then go to outline and say show subtasks, the first option. That'll show the subtasks of the grouping that you have clicked on. Okay, any questions on that? Okay. So now click on the outline again, and then click on all subtasks. So click on outline and then say all subtasks, and that will put your schedule back to how we've been looking at it. Okay. Hey, any questions so far on this? So now let's filter our schedule, and we're going to filter for the critical path. So click on it's also in view. So we're still in the view ribbon at the top. Right next to outline, there's a button for filter. So it's the little funnel. And then you should see it says no filter and then a drop down arrow. So click on the drop down arrow. And you should see the built-in filter that's called critical. Click on that. So the drop down, so click on critical, and now you should see your schedule filtered for the critical path. Everybody see that? Okay. Okay, as long as there's something, and they should all be red. Okay. So now if you want to get rid of the filter, click on this drop down again and say no filter. It's the first option. Okay. So click on the drop down and say no filter. So we have the critical filter. And then click the drop down, say no filter. So you can also, let's do the drop down again, and let's filter for our milestones. So click the drop down arrow and filter for milestones. And you should see now only the milestones that are in your project. Okay. Do you, are they collapsed or? Are they 0 days?
And all,
Okay, if you put no filter, are these 0 days or are they 1? Make them all 0. Yeah. No, it's okay. Make the milestone 0 and then do the filter again. Anybody else not get anything when you type in the milestones for the milestone filter? Okay. Okay. So then also, go back to no filter. So you should have your whole schedule again. And now, no filter. So now we'll filter for a 3-week look ahead.
Milestones, I do have 1 day.
Just change them to a 0.
Because we don't have that.
Well, we're gonna make it the 3-week look ahead.
So we don't have one.
You don't have one. Yeah, you don't have one. No.
I'm like,
No.
oh, now get-
No. Is everyone good with the milestones? If your milestones are not coming up, it's because these are 1 day and not 0.
get all the, oh, you just want that one.
The activities underneath it.
Just.
Yeah. And then project milestones. Okay, is everyone set on the milestone part? Okay, so now click on the drop down arrow for filter, and one of the built-in ones is called date range. It's called date range. So click on date range.
If you went filter
Uh-huh.
and to no filter,
Filter, it will put no filter on if you still have a filter on,
yeah.
and then click on the drop down and say date range.
Finish that.
So the first one is asking for your early window. So if you do a 3-week look ahead, typically it's 1 week back and 3 weeks forward. So if we want a 3-week look ahead from today's date, we're at August 2nd right now. So click on 1 week back and choose July 26th. It should come up with the drop down arrow. Click on the 26th. So that's asking for the early range of your window, and then say okay.
6th of July.
Yes, yeah, 1 week back from today.
And before,
And then in the second prompt, we're going to do 3 weeks, 3 weeks forward from today. The 23rd. Yeah,
push okay.
it's okay. Yeah, so click on the 23rd. And then click OK.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, August
We can do 6 weeks.
22nd, Then you hit okay. Then you go.
So the first one, so I'll do it again. I'm going to say date range. So the first one says show tasks that start or finish after. So this is the early range. So I'm going to do 1 week back from my look ahead time frame. So that's the 26th. Then say okay. And then it's saying and before. So if you want to do a 3-week look ahead, do 3 weeks forward. If you want a 6-week look ahead, do 6 weeks forward. It's however many weeks you want it to be. Okay, so I'm going to do date range, the early window, so the 26th. Say okay. And then and before, and I'm going to do 3 weeks forward. So I'm going to choose August 23rd and say okay. So now the schedule is filtered for a 3-week look ahead. Does anybody not have this? Okay, and then you can click on the plus sign down here. Down in your view,
Okay.
click on the plus sign until at the top you have shaded for the weekends, and it should say like days of the week. Okay. I'm going to hide my columns for predecessor and successor so that I can see more on the Gantt chart. So I'm going to click on the title of predecessor and right click, and I'm going to say hide column. I'm going to do the same on successor, and I'm going to right click and say hide column. Yeah, if you have any others, you can hide those as well. So then that gives you a little bit more of your Gantt chart. If you want to see more of it, you can click on the vertical line and drag it over. Was everybody able to get it to be the days of the week? You just hover until you have the 2 vertical lines, and then you can click and drag it. Is yours all the way over here?
And you can hit file and print.
Yes. So then we'll go to that step when everyone's ready. Okay. So is everybody good up to this point? Does everybody have their schedule filtered for a 3-week look ahead, and your Gantt chart has days of the week? Okay. So now go to File and say Print. So the File ribbon and say Print. Okay. So click on the plus sign and the minus sign
Down at the very bottom.
at the very bottom. It's like zooming in and out until you get days of the week. Okay. Everybody good here? Okay. So then File and then Print. And does everybody have like Bluebeam printer or Microsoft Print PDF or something? Okay, so choose that. And what we want to do is we want our dates here to match the same dates that we chose for our filter. Does that make sense? So for our 3-week look ahead filter, we did the 26th of July through the 23rd of August. So we want to do the same dates here. So for the first date, we're going to do the same 1 week back from today, so the 26th. And then for the end of the range, we're going to do the same thing where we do 3 weeks forward from today, so the 23rd. Okay. So do you have the print preview that shows up here? Okay. So does anybody's have it like really stretched out? Okay. So if it's really stretched out, then minimize your time scale once and see if your days of the week get skinnier. Like you may have it where it looks like this. Minimize it one time so you have skinnier days of the week. Okay, is everyone, and then now go to your print preview again. And does it all fit onto one page? Okay. Okay. What is? Okay, so go back to your schedule. Click the back arrow and then click the minimize once. And then now try printing it again. Now go to your print preview again. Go to file and then go to print. Okay, no, I think you're good. Yeah, you just have less things on your filter. Yeah, yours looks like it's good now.
I'm still.
Okay, so go click your back arrow.
Here.
Yeah. And then minimize so that that's a little bit skinnier. Okay. That's okay. And then go to file and then print. Okay, yours is on one page, so I think you're good. I don't know why it does look different, but
Yeah, well, can I go to 2 pages, will it make it bigger?
no. Yours are both doing the same thing. I don't know why your time scale just looks a little different, which is fine, but it is correct for what you're trying to do.
Print this, is it going, this is what it's gonna print?
Yes,
I
that's
see
what it'll
here.
print. Right, correct.
So to get the rest of the schedule out to the end, I mean,
Mhm.
well, yours looks like you still got items that are.
Yeah, so
fast.
it's just gonna cut off.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
have up there, I don't have dates.
Yeah. Click
anything.
on your page setup. So click on page setup. That's like underneath where it says tabloid.
Where?
It's like on the left-hand side. There's page. It's right here.
Here?
Yeah. Yeah. Page setup. See, that all looks. That's okay. The tabloid should be. The tabloid's one it should be on.
Tabloid.
Click on. No, it's all correct. That all looks right. Click OK. Go back to your schedule to where it has your time scale. And then make it one bigger. Yeah. Try printing it again. It should print that. I mean, it should print correctly. There you go. That looks.
Not close to what you got.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just your print formatting sometimes it just has to adjust your printer. I don't know why.
Doesn't
Yeah.
show my individual days up there.
Yeah.
Like yours does. This is
Mhm.
August.
Maybe change the end of your window from 8:23 to like 9:23 or something. Just change it to something different. And then change it back to the 8:23 date. Yeah, I don't know why your top, because it is correct. It is showing that. I don't know why the top of your time scale is not formatting correctly. But that is correct though. Sorry. Yes, that looks right. Yeah, it's because you're connected to the HP. If you connected to like Bluebeam or something, it may look a little bit different.
Okay.
So I think it's just because you're connected to a real printer.
I am.
Yeah.
That's what'll print.
Yes, that's what'll print. That's correct.
Kind of smashed.
Yeah, if you want it to be bigger, you can you can change from a tabloid to a letter size. So it's the bottom option. You could change it from tabloid to letter. The first option. And that'll make it a little bit bigger if that's easier to read. So
Move that over.
it did. It'll give you less Gantt chart space, but it'll make your words bigger. Mhm.
Is there any way when you go to print, to eliminate these first 2 columns? Maybe that'll make it
Sure.
bigger.
You could do that. So go back to your schedule and then click on the top of task mode, right click and hide. And then do the same for the information, right click and hide. And then now try printing it. That gives you more Gantt chart.
Doesn't look better there.
Mm-hmm.
my question is on your
Mhm.
Gantt chart over here, is that showing my start date there? My end date here? Cause to me, it looks like it needs to keep going.
It looks like it is. The top of it is like not seeming like it because for some reason your days of the week are like not formatting right. I don't know why. You can try changing, it's a tabloid size right now,
Yeah,
and you can try changing at the bottom from tabloid to letter. Yeah.
Again, right?
Yeah, but then if you change it back, you can change, so
right there
egg,
here.
yeah, so change it to letter. It may just be the first, yeah. Say okay. And then, yeah, and then now you can change it back. You can click that drop down and put it back to tabloid. It will cut off the ends of your words because that's out of your date range. So if you wanted the words, you could say make your end date to like 9/24.
Well, I'm not worried about the word.
Yeah.
I am the days.
Right.
By the week, so we can say, okay, you need to be here,
Hmm.
you know, it lines up with the top.
Yeah.
This is what we print out to give to our subs
Right.
for
Hmm.
our weekly meeting.
Yeah.
They're gonna look at that, and they're gonna be as confused as I am now. Dropping in a trash
Mhm.
can on the way out the door.
Yeah, I don't know why.
That was.
Okay. I don't know why that's getting messed up. I'm not sure. Like it must be something to do with if you change your printer to Bluebeam, or do you have Bluebeam printer? What if you click the printer drop down? Like right here where it says HP. Change it to the Bluebeam PDF. The timescales are, I don't know why your timescale is printing differently. Some people's are printing the same as mine, some people's are different. I'm not sure why it's different.
They're not sure.
It has, yeah, it would have something to do with like your actual printer connection to your Microsoft project. But your information is correct.
Yes.
So, yeah, the information's correct. So that's the important part.
Well, I gotta
So-
get it printed.
Yeah. Click on the back arrow, like go back to your schedule. And then your time scale, make it, hit the plus sign a couple times. Hit it again.
So that must have happened.
Yeah, hit it one more time. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so now try to print it.
Oh,
There you go.
yeah,
Yeah, it adjusted.
that's on Bluebeam.
Yes, yeah. So it may just be the printer that you had. So like it would print correctly because now you have your days of the week shown. Go back,
Yes.
go back to your schedule once more.
And
Yeah.
thing when you do actual size, that thing
Hmm.
Doesn't look good.
Yeah, hit the plus sign at the bottom and then now try to print it. There you go.
That worked.
Yeah, that adjusted it.
That's what I'm looking for. And
Yep.
you put actual size. And
You just gotta play with it.
Yeah, you just have to mess with it a little bit and then it'll like click into place. I don't know why it does that, but it just does. Yeah. Sometimes it'll try to stretch it out to like 4 pages and then you just have to like make an adjustment and then it fixes it. Yeah.
Plus and minus.
Right. When it's fit for your data, that's when it'll like snap onto one page. All right. All right. Sorry. All right. So this is how, so some people would try to like adjust your time scale. Basically, when your time scale that you have selected is fit for your data, that's when it's going to be on one page. If your time scale is too big, so say I had my time scale like zoomed in more, this is when it's going to try to print over multiple pages. I can tell it says 2 pages, 1 page is just a bar chart. But when I back it up one, that's when my format is actually fit for showing that data, and that's when it's going to print onto one page. So it's just one of those, it's just one of the things Microsoft
You
Project
click
does.
it, it'll tell you 2 pages, and then you back click.
Correct.
once, and that could be your maximum.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. It should be fit for your data. Any questions on that? All right. Well, that is all that I have for today. That's everything through printing the 3-week look ahead. I know. Any other questions for today? All right.
Just look at it as sample, you know.